Welcome to another day. Yeah, we've got a myriad of pulleys, bars, pictures, brackets, water pumps. We're just trying to figure out some stuff here, and I'm telling you, I'm not having the best of luck of figuring it out. One of the things I'm finding out is all of these brackets have a wicked dog leg on them. And I believe the reason for that is so you can pick up the third pulley on here. Now, I've already done some measurements with my water pump over here and my bracket, and where I come out at is about this far away from this pulley, which is almost a full pulley groove, and there's no way to really bring it back any. Now, I can press the pulley on the pump itself on deeper, but it's only going to give me about 3/4 of this. Then I got thinking, thinking is problems. I'm only going to be using 2 pulleys on this motor. One will be for the water pump, which will be just that one little line. It comes right around the crank and goes around the pulley for the water pump. And then the second one, of course, will be for the alternator. I don't have power steering. I don't have anything else that goes on this motor. 3 pulleys, one, is a problem because I don't like the excess. I mean, you're going to have like a pulley, you know. I mean, I guess I could take this one down to 1 if I had to and just run off the 3 off the bottom, but it just kind of looks cheap and stupid in my own humble opinion. So what I've decided to do is take my little bracket here, and I'm going to take the dog leg off. Not only that, but I'm going to shorten it to where it'll pull it up closer to the block, because no matter what I do, when it went in its normal position right now, when I swing it as all the way over, it hits the side of the oil pan. And no matter what I do, if I raise it or lower it, it still just hits the side of the oil pan. And the oil pan, of course, is flat all the way across, so it can go back and forth, and it can get raised almost an inch. So that's what I'm going to do. Hey, look what I did. This is the reason I bought this welder. This whole little longevity, everybody called it a piece of crap. I've had it for 5, 6, 7 years now. Love this thing to death. And it's just for stuff like this. I wouldn't be able to even explain this to somebody if I wanted to. You know, if I took it someplace and said, hey, I want you to take an inch off and offset it and do this and do that. Yeah, maybe $600, $700 later. It sure as heck wouldn't have been a $30 nuisance fee, you know, that kind of thing. But the deal has been done. I basically took this chunk out of the middle of this guy. And as you can see, now it has a very small dog leg. There still is one in there. I left it in there. It's a tiny bit because I wanted to keep it off of the block. I want this surface from, you know, that mating surface up. That's where it takes a little dip at. And it was purpose. I wanted these to actually have their original mating surfaces. So this is all original. And then this has been joined here. And right here, there actually was another bend. What I did is basically I notched the ends and then put a streak right across the middle of it and then pounded it all out and then put another streak across it and then welded it. Yeah, it's solid as solid can be. It's definitely something you would not be able to buy at Mercruiser, that's for sure. And that's it. And I think that's the swing. It's right out to about here. So it almost looks exactly like it did. But the reality is it's an inch shorter. And on top of that, there is no dog leg. But now that that's done, I still got a ton of pulleys out here and a whole mess over here, a little bit of a mess over there, and it's a bit late. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and clean up, and I'll catch up with you all tomorrow. Welcome to another day. Yeah, it seems like deja vu all over again, huh? Back to this motor. Really thought it was going to be just buy a couple parts and snap them on and off we go. Well, once you put the slightest complication with any marine motor, that's when it just goes exponentially to a much higher factor of pain in the ass. And what I mean by that is I've had Chevys, I've had Fords, and I've had Chrysler. Chrysler is becoming extremely rare because, you know, Chrysler hasn't been around building V8s like this for a long time. Then you add into the factor of Chrysler Marine, and that just turns it into another factor of 10. And Ford is okay because there's a lot of Ford stuff out there, but when you add in the Marine part of it, it turns into something else. Ford exhaust manifolds are limited, an example. You know, I mean, there's only so many different Ford sets you're going to be able to find, especially with Chrysler. There's like one manufacturer, I think their name is High Tech or something like that, out of Australia. About $2,000 a set. And it has to be shipped from Australia, and the shipping is not included. And if you have to return it for, you know, any minor reason, you have to ship it to Australia to do any type of warranty work. And that was the main reason why we went with a big block Chevy. It's the easiest of all the marine motors. You know, I mean, once you add marine again, like I said, it just turns into a quagmire of crap. And we have complicated things a little bit because of the fuel pump boss. I probably should have went electric. I don't know. I didn't want to do electric. I wanted to do mechanical in this, and I wanted to keep it simple. Once it's built, it'll be simple. Building it, different story. But I'm pretty comfortable about the way it fits now. I went ahead and painted up the brackets, pulley, and all that good stuff. And we got online and we found another pulley that belongs on the water pump, which is a single groove, which will clean that area up. We also found, yeah, we had to research fan belts by size, and then I ordered like 5 or 6 of them. So we'll probably have the right size. Fingers are crossed. Now today's objective, as you saw, is cleaning up the ports for the water pump. I just want to get some of this stuff put together. There's no reason for it to be all over the place like this. I mean, everything is just kind of gingerly, just kind of sitting there, finger tight, finger tight. Now that the water pump is pretty positive it's going to be exactly where it is, I need to attach it all to the bracket properly, get all the bolts in, get all the lock washers in, that kind of stuff. You know, I just kind of finger tighten it together. I need to put the front of the motor together and clean up some of this mess. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay. We're not making a video about a Monza here. Yeah, I restored a 73 Monza, I believe it was. And that was the music that I did my video montage back when I used to just take pictures of what was going on. 1 or 2 pictures a day over 6 months. I would just take a song and throw it up on the internet. But now with everything with copyright strikes and such, you can't do that anymore because they'll copyright strike your butt, and if that's the case, you'll lose your channel and everything else. So, but we have moved along a little bit. We've got our pulleys on, well, at least one of them, 2 of them actually, but this one's, you know, it's package deal. Our water pump is solid as solid can be, and it's not even tightened down from that side over to here. What else we got going on? We got our water pump on. We got our alternator brackets. We did some touch-up paint. As I said, the alternator bracket over there is loose also. And speaking of alternator brackets, I am a little concerned about this guy. I'm not really sure if I got the right one or not, because I know the exhaust manifold will come out to about, yeah, here, somewhere around here. So I'm thinking this may stick out a little bit too far, but it does have this huge dog leg and it goes all the way out. So, and that's the center. I'm just waiting to get an alternator. I'm thinking I could probably tuck this thing up really nice and tight up against the block, which would help out quite a bit. But if I worry about millimeters when it comes time to actually put it in the boat, hopefully I won't have to worry about it at all because we'll have plenty of room. And we do have a little snag with our water pump. I probably could rethread it if I wanted to, but normally, you know, you put these little 3/8 in, they're fine. Every other water pump, I've got one sitting on a shelf. It's a long Chevy long nose or whatever they call it, the long version. And yeah, 3/8 coarse thread right on in. Well, this one happens to be a fine thread. And the only thing I can find in my garage that fits it is these, which are carburetor bolts. The fine thread where the carburetor sits on top of it. And I'm thinking if I have to, I'm just going to cut these off and I'll have studs sticking out of here, which that will be badass. And I've been beating myself up for about 2 or 3 days over this, and I know we're pretty much done with the water pump after everything we did, but I'm looking at this guy and I'm thinking, yeah, there's a reason why they did this way. And for me, I don't like it. In a big motor room, it would be one thing, but in this, it's not going to be that great. And what I mean by that is this goes right here and right here. And it kind of, almost 3D. It kind of hangs off the block over here like so. Over here. And I was looking online, and there's only 1 or 2 videos online with people who are fooling with these Gen 5s with their fuel pump bosses over here. And we're going to keep that nice and covered up so it doesn't turn into a trash can. And what I've come to the conclusion is that they're all on the 3rd pulley. Because normally I see like a fan belt go this way, and I'm thinking to myself, why isn't that fan belt just cutting right into that water pump hose? Because I have a real problem with that just using 2 pulleys. Long story short, that was going to make me have to use a 3 pulley or a 3 groove pulley, which kind of screws me all up. So I'm kind of happy I did what I did, even though I was forced into it. The reason they do it is this. It's because they want this to sit up pretty much like this one is right here. So they put this piece here so they fix the pump in position. And then they use this idler to actually take up the tension of the fan belt. So mine is, like I said, it is custom, but it is what it is. It's going to work, that's for sure. The hard part is just getting it to work in the first place. When it works, it's done. Because you'll know what size belts you need. You'll know how much room you can have. You'll know everything. But just figuring out is always the hard part. So we've made it that far. And tomorrow we have another list of stuff. I got some brand new plugs right there. Had them on a shelf, I guess, left over from the race boat project. Got to get my block drains in. They're extenders. I'll show you that tomorrow. Do have to fool around with my flywheel also. Got to get it changed around. You can also get a damper on it. I do have to change the oil in this thing. I mean, there's like, geez, it's a good list of stuff. But I'm trying to get everything I can done while it's still sitting on the stand. Because I do have another stand that it sits on when it has feet on it. And the problem with that stand is it's a little bulky and it makes it a little hard to get to things just because of the way it's built. So we got plenty to do tomorrow, and we'll see you then. Welcome to another day. Yeah, we've already gone ahead and got started. Pulled our flywheel off. Like I said, we got to change the ring gear on that. Went ahead and got all my plugs out, got them gapped up. Telling you, do not put plugs in without gapping them. 3 needed to be re-gapped. The rest were fine, but the other ones needed to be re-gapped because they were actually all the way closed. Yeah. That would have been 3 dead cylinders right out of the box. That wouldn't have been too good. But as I said, we've gone ahead and we've done that. We've done that. We've got our stuff out for our block drain extensions. We're just going to move along here. Nothing real exciting. Really, it's kind of anticlimactic at the moment because of this guy here. We went ahead and got a single pulley. Guess I really didn't pay attention to the diameter as much as I should have. I mean, I was looking at a bunch of them. I thought they were all in the same size, but that one's quite large. And I don't like the way it, when you do this, I don't have it attached, so I have to be kind of careful. But when you do this, I mean, the belt off of this pulley actually will have to go down, and that's not what I was looking for. So, mistake number 2, I guess. I'll have an extra water pump bracket and an extra pulley. But we are moving along with all this stuff on the front. It's starting to look like a real motor that's ready to drop into a boat. Because realistically, after this, there's only a few pieces on top and exhaust, to be honest. I mean, the rest of it's, that's sitting over there. Motor mounts are over here. But as I said, I want to get everything I can done while it's still sitting on the stand. Makes it a whole lot more convenient. I'm going to get started. Just had to get out the big torch tip. Little one was more focused, but we were doing a larger overall piece, so we had to get out the, I don't know, the sweating tip, I call it, because it's really good for sweating pipes on and stuff like that. But we've got our ring gear on the right side, so we don't have to worry about it being on the wrong side when we go to put the motor in. And on top of that, I just wanted to look at this for a second. Look at all the holes that my guy, there's like a couple more around here, some smaller ones he did also. That's when I rebalanced the motor. Now that came out of the factory. It had a crap ton of holes in it. A lot of these holes over here are all from the factory, believe it or not, which is so weird. But that one, and that's a lot of weight from the opposite side that's actually weighted, taken out. So yeah, my boy did a good job, I tell you too. These motors went so smooth, they ain't shaking all over the place. Never had a failure, knock on wood, because of something shaking itself apart or something of that nature. Usually it's just a total screw up on my own behalf. And with that done, we'll go ahead and get the backside painted. I'm going to hold off on the plugs for right now. I really want to get the flywheel back on and then rotate it around the #1 firing position before I put the plugs in. Just easier. But I'm going to go ahead and get this painted up now, and then we'll get it installed. Not so worried about it drying. I mean, it can take 15 or 20 minutes to kind of be tack free a little bit, but I ain't worried about it drying. I'm just trying to get it covered. While the paint was drying on the flywheel, I thought I'd come over here and do one of my world famous block drain extenders. Everybody knows we got, block drains down here, and they usually have like these steel plugs in them like this. This one happens to be brass. When your only access is right through here underneath the exhaust manifold and you're feeling around here in the dark, it's almost impossible to find one of these things. So what I like to do is I just go to Home Depot and get a couple pieces out of their plumbing section. Little piece of brass pipe, which is, I don't know, 1/2 inch long, I think it is. 1/4 inch. Got a coupler for brass also. And then a plug. And I'll just put A into B, and I'll use C as the plug. And the reason I do that is because when it's installed, this piece will be sticking down here like this. And that's a whole lot easier to find and a whole lot easier to deal with, because if you take these in and out of here enough times, the threads start to wear away. They're not necessarily made to have the plugs come out on a yearly basis, but these, you can take them in and out all you want. I mean, I've had them in 10-15 years now, and they, they tarnish up a little bit, but they still look just like that. And the best part is the plugs go right in and they seal. As I said, you get these guys in here, it's so easy to cross thread one or screw it up. This one's really nice because actually I took these out to use in my other motor. I was just desperate at the time, and I was like, oh man, I need those. Out they came. But You know, you just do that. I'll just give you a condensed version. That 1/4 inch goes in like so. This goes on here like so. And of course it tightens up quite a bit. You want it in there and you want it to stay in there. And that way when you're ready to unplug, you just do that. You take that out. But I'm going to go ahead and get these guys installed while I'm waiting for paint to dry and hopefully get that flywheel installed. Alright, we went ahead and got our flywheel on, with our ring gear on the right side, or the front side. Front. Alright, whatever. We also went ahead and put our damper plate on. Why not? It was there. No reason I can't do it with it while it's on the stand. And now I'm going to go ahead and do my spark plugs. Alright, with the plugs in, that's pretty much a done deal for us for the evening. Wasn't exciting, but hey, what the hell. Another 15, 20 bucks, whatever the plugs cost. But they were sitting on a shelf doing nothing, so brand new, and my new 454 ready to go in that 19. But I gotta go find me another pulley. I'm just totally saying that this one's gonna be wrong. I think it's actually bigger than the crank pulley, honestly. Yeah, that's a little crazy. And I will see y'all tomorrow. Alright, enough of that noise. Welcome to another day. Yeah, we're having some issues here at the moment. I don't know what else to say besides we're just having some issues. Last night I searched long and hard for a single groove pulley that will fit a short water pump for a big block Chevy. I guess they're kind of universal, all the Chevys. And I had absolutely no luck. I mean, what I mean by that is the only ones I was finding are the ones that I already have. They all were like 6 5/8 to 7 inches. If I wanted anything smaller, say like a 5 1/2, like a typical pulley is on a Mercruiser pump, that's going to be 2 or 3 grooves. So I'm kind of stuck. But lucky enough, I do have this sitting over in a shelf. So it's a 6 5/8. It's just a little bit smaller than the chrome one we had. It's now gracing itself over there on the shelf. I'm not sending it back. I've already kind of, you know, tweaked with it, threw the package away, all that good stuff. So I'm not worried about that. But I went ahead and I got this one all cleaned up. It's actually warming it up at the moment. I want to get it nice and warm, and I'm going to paint it, and then I'm going to bring it in here and paint it, and bring it in here and paint it. You know, that kind of routine. And yeah, well, hopefully we'll be able to at least get that on. It fits properly. It's the right one. It's just, like I said, it seems awful large, but if it is what it is, I can't change that at the moment. If I get the opportunity, maybe I will in the future. Then off to number 2. Got our fan belts in for our water pump. Missing one. I went ahead and I bought like 4 of them, all the way up the size scale from like 29 inches all the way up to like 32 inches. One of them's got to work. Hopefully it's not the one that's missing. And then off to number 3 here. The alternator came in. Yeah, that's a bit used. No big deal. As long as it works, I'm fine with it. Solid. Bearings feeling real good. Except for the fact that they dropped it when they shipped it. And as you can see, the pulley's all jacked. It's like, wow. I'm not having the greatest luck today. So at the moment I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get that painted up. From there I'm going to go ahead and see if I have the right size fan belt for the water pump. I know that's the right size there. I'm going to get a new one. This is the reason I keep my old ones. 1, in case of emergency, and 2, it's great for doing measuring. You know, I mean, It's one thing just to strap a piece of string around it and say, oh yeah, it's this long. Well, that doesn't always work out so well when you're talking about grooves, and they sit so high in the grooves. They don't actually sit at the bottom of the groove. At least they're not supposed to. So, yeah, that's what I've got. I mean, as I said, the alternator works out perfectly if it wasn't bent up. But I'm going to go ahead and get started and see if I can get a few things done today. And hopefully, before this is all said and done, I'm going to get it up on my motor stand over here and see if we can get it off this stand. Well, best laid plans. You know, they kind of go. Went ahead and got my pulley on. Everything's fine now. I actually had to use a spacer. Lucky enough I had one stashed away. It was rubbing right up against the pump. Not sure what the deal was, but I had a spacer, put it in, lined up perfectly. Got my belt on for my water pump. May actually go with another one, the one that's missing. That one there is the second longest one. The longest one didn't show up. If I can actually get another, maybe, I don't know, ½ inch out of it, 3/8 of an inch, and it will actually make the seat for the, because anything I do really just makes the seat go up more and more level. So I may actually add this second one, or the longest one. So it just makes it look nice. But I mean, it's tight as can be. That's going to spin like it should. Everything's fine. But another thing I just realized is that I don't have the stand, the wooden stand I used to have. The only way I'm going to be able to get this thing up on a stand now is actually make one. So I'm debating on whether I'm going to make one or just hold off and finish everything else I can up and just leave the bell housing and the motor mounts off for now. I mean, it's not a big deal. I mean, it just kind of like wanted to get the things out of the boxes, but worst case scenario, they can sit over there and we'll just deal with them later on when we do actually pull it up on the hoist. I just really don't want to leave it sit here on the hoist, you know, hanging. I mean, the nice thing about these air gaps is that I got a little thing that goes right up underneath it here, and yeah, you just hang it from there. But I won't be able to put the carburetor on. I won't be able to adjust it. Won't be able to do, you know, a lot of things when it's hanging. So, as I said, I'm just going to hold off. I have the bell housing ready. I have the motor mounts ready. I have the oil change all ready to go. You know, so we're just going to have to do it that way. Move on to something else tomorrow. See ya. Welcome to another day. Yeah, we're back here again. And until it's done, we have a pile of stuff down here. We'll get to that in a second. And lots of stuff. But we did get some hose. And the reason I'm laughing at this is because this is ridiculous. I was having a real hard time trying to find this hose that I'm using for the oil filter remote. It's the same hose I use on all my boats. I've had a couple motors chew themselves up on the inside. You know, once you get metal and everything flying around inside of a motor, all the rubber oil lines end up right in that little trash can right there. Because there's no salvaging that stuff. You're not going to get all the metal out of it, and then it just releases it as the oil gets hot and runs through the system, and then you end up with metal in your motor. I use this line because with these fittings down here, you can actually just chop the line off, shove the hose back on that fitting, and it's done. No hose clamps, nothing. Complete. I guess they call it Socketless or something like that. I'm not really positive, but since I use all them, I thought, why not buy a little extra hose since the opportunity arose? Because what I was going to pay for 8 feet basically on this motor, I paid less for this bulk. And the reason it's funny is because they actually had it listed like this on the thing. And I thought, there's no way they're going to send this spindle. I mean, why would they do that? Well, the wife yells downstairs last night, hey, a big box just showed up at the door. Well, it was like 8:30, 9 o'clock. It was like, what the hell's a big box showing up at my door like this? Well, here it is. They sent the spindle and all. And as you can see, it's less than one run. I mean, I just, yeah. This is just hilarious to me that they sent the whole spindle and everything and paid for the shipping because it was free shipping. Oh well, I gotta open some boxes and get to work here. Okay, let's see what came from all of this packing. Yeah. I mean, look how big that spool is. It had that hose on it. And that's pretty wound up pretty tight. I mean, honestly, if you wanted to smash it down a little bit, yeah, it wouldn't have took nearly that box. But they chose to do what they did, and it's here, and I really don't have no problem getting rid of it. Along with that, we went ahead, let's just start right over here to our left, and we will start off with, we have ourselves a new distributor. More on that later when it gets installed. We have our oil filter remote MSD box. Now that's an MSD 6T, and what 6T is their off-road version. I've had extremely good luck with these guys, and thank the heavens and thank the boating gods, but they seem to work real well. I know a lot of people have problems with these boxes, and they're always like, yeah, bring 2 or 3 of them with you. I get these 6Ts, and they're off-road. They're got some epoxy in them. I mean, they use them for like ARCA series and racing. Yeah, there's a bunch of reasons why I like these boxes, and since they seem to work for me, I'm sticking with them. Even the best part is, if this box is dead, I mean 100% dead, I think the last time around I sent it back to them, they rebuilt the whole box, all new wires, everything, and it was like $55. So, you know, once you have one, you're in the club, so to speak. And when you're in the club, it costs you almost nothing to fix these things. And as I said, I've had really good luck with them. But we're going to move on here. We got our fuel pump in for this guy. We're going to have to do a little plumbing for it, since it's sitting sideways now. And it'll make it real easy plumbing it up to the carburetor, but plumbing it over to the fuel line is another story entirely. Got a couple senders in. Got our oil line ends, which is this for this hose. Oh, that's a disappointment. That's a huge disappointment. Nice thing about it is the company I bought them from already just gave me back all my money and shipping and everything. They were listed as the fin that goes on the back of a Volvo drive. Picture everything. I thought I made the huge score of all scores. And I opened up the package and that's what was inside. Some pencil zincs, which I don't even have a place to use them, to be honest. So, yeah, they'll go on a shelf, but they're free of charge. What the hell? And to go with our pretty red distributor, got myself some nice 8mm Acel lines here, and a pretty red. I like the red. It'll match the cables that come off for the throttle and for the shift linkage and the outdrive also. And that's the plan so far. I gotta clean up a little bit of this mess, and then I'll go ahead and start playing with a few of these things. Like, the first thing I need to do is get this guy cleaned up. Let's see. See anything in there that looks bad? Dirty? So we're gonna have to get it cleaned up, and then we'll get some oil lines made. When we get the oil lines made and a filter on there, I can spin the oil pump. That's one of the reasons why I've been holding off on a lot of this stuff, is because I really just wanted to get the oil lines made, the filter on, and that way the oil pump can get spun. Then I can set the distributor, don't have to worry about spinning the oil pump again. As I said, I mean, I just really want to spin it for like a few minutes, and I'll do that with my drill. You know, that's easy enough. You know, it's going to sit a few weeks, but still. And once that's done, then I can just move on from there. Welcome back to the garage of misery once again. And it rains, it pours. Having some minor difficulties today, that's for sure. One is this fuel pump, but we'll get to that in a second. I started off working on my oil lines. Came to a screeching halt. Reason is because I have this adapter in place, which is used for compression fittings, things like that. This is probably the last motor to get upgraded. Actually, the one that's in the Beesmeyer now doesn't even use a remote system. It's just the oil filters right there. So what would be the reason to actually use something like that? I need one like this. And I know I have one in my hand, but this one's been kind of chewed up. I went ahead and I ported this one out, and the process of porting it, my bit got a little too low and chewed up the threads on this side. So it's exactly what I need, but this one's no good. So we're kind of in a jam with our oil system right at the moment. It will require my credit card to get out to fix, of course. So I decided I was going to move on with a fuel pump. Why not? Just go ahead, and thought it would be an easy kill. Well, of course, it's not threaded properly, or at least it's not threaded for anything I have in my drawer, which I have thousands of fittings in my drawer. So I went ahead and I rethreaded it after I took it all apart. I didn't get any shavings on the inside. The one piece that I actually couldn't, there's a check valve in here at one of these ports. So I just put the tap in the vise and screwed it on. So that way all the shavings fell out. And I tapped it out, blew it out, did everything I can before I actually flipped it back over. And the other ones were they just go inside of here, so it's really easy to take care of those. But now we are all threaded up, hopefully, for our pipe thread, which, yes, we are. And that way I can go ahead and do any fittings I want. What I do is I take a fitting like this, and I get out my Dremel, my drill like I have over here, and I'll actually port that thing out. So it's straight on through. There's no choke points, because they put a neck down here to make it a little stronger around where they actually, meets the base of this thing. And it actually chokes it down to about half of the size of the hole. So just a little insider tip. But as I said, I've got all these done. That's going to be what the fuel line actually hooks to. So my lines will actually be 3/8. And then of course I have 5/8 fuel line, which will go over top of this. So there will be no choke points. Nothing. So that's what I just spent the last hour doing. Fixing it so it's ready to get pipe threads instead of, I don't even know what they are. I have fuel fittings and they don't fit the thread. I don't get it. I mean, I have all kinds of fittings and they don't fit the thread. Anyway, around it, it's threaded up now. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get our fittings in and maybe actually install this guy before the day's out. Guess I got to find some bolts too. Well, our day of failures continues. Ah, man. Frustration is setting in. I went ahead and I got my fuel pump all taken care of. Everything's done, put in, installed, cleaned, whole 9 yards. Plugged. All ready to set right in my water pump. Problem is, the lever's too long and it bottoms out. I can't get the thing installed. I mean, if I do, I'm going to break stuff, and that's an expensive pump to go breaking on. I take it that there's a special fuel pump that goes with this that has a shortened lever. I mean, I would just cut this one off, but I'm afraid the pivot point's right there, and if it's not right, it's bad news. This one, since it's modified now, will end up going on a shelf. Nice backup for my 19, but I already have like a super high dollar backup sitting on a shelf now, left over from another build. And I will give you a little story on this alternator. When it came in, of course it was damaged. Pulley's mangled. So I actually got it off. Now normally I would just contact the seller and I'd say, hey, you probably should send me a return label and I can send this bad boy back. Because after it took a nosedive already and doing that kind of damage, I'm a little nervous about the insides. So like I was saying, I bought this off of eBay and it came in damaged. I took pictures of it, sent them to the guy, sent him an email and said, hey, it's got some damage here. I don't know what you want to do. Maybe he's got a connection with some shipping or whatever, and he can actually get it shipped back and refund my money. Well, I emailed him. I think it was Saturday of last week. Nothing all week long. One Wednesday I hit him with a second email. Nothing. Friday night I get 2 emails back from each one of the emails I sent, like he was just responding like it just happened. And he tells me that if I had a problem, I Probably should have told him a week ago. Yeah, that's the response I got. Needless to say, I'm not happy. It's probably going to be a fight on eBay. But as I said, I've got it. I'm going to find a pulley for it. I'll put it together. I'll get everything fixed up to where it's supposed to be. And if it doesn't work, then it will just replace it when the time comes. It's not really hard to replace an alternator on the front of a motor in one of these 19s. Went ahead and got all our senders in. All 2 of them. Yay. Here's your big accomplishment for my day. I did actually get the brackets all painted up for the oil remote, but of course, like I said, I don't have the piece for it. And since I don't have the piece for it, I can't do the oil system. I can't set the distributor. I guess I could. I mean, and I'll be honest with you, I'll probably get frustrated at some point and just come out here and do it anyway and just pull it all out and leave it sit off to the side. It's just been a trying day. Now I have to go order parts, and I feel like I got nothing accomplished. Oh, boats. We'll see you tomorrow. We're going to have to cut this one in at the beginning. So, and we'll do it kind of like we'll do an intro, and then when we come back this last time, we will do a synopsis. Yeah, something like that. Okay, now we're going to go into what we've already filmed. The next one will be, hey, look what we did. All right, let's do all that again. Everything's all over again. It sure wouldn't have been a $30, hey, let me just, whack this over, marine factors. Oh, jeez. Pause. I don't like that. Let's do it. Let's do this like this. I don't know if anything's just going right. Alright, rambling again. One more time. Start it. Oh, jeez. Alright, I'm going to do that part one more time. Alright, we'll just start over again. Start over again. I mean, like I said, knock on. I don't know. Alright, let's do this.